Chug-a-lug, make you wanna holler, howdy-ho. Burns your tummy, don't you know? Chug-a-lug, grape wine in a mason jar.
Yay! Welcome to Story Time with Boots, Drinking in Your 30s. I got my main man, Tornado Tongue Tom. What up, Tornado Tongue?
What's going on, Boot? Happy to be back.
Glad to have you. We're missing Rip a Beat today. Unfortunately, he's got a new job cleaning bukkake at one of the beat-off parlors local here in Philadelphia. So he couldn't make it today, but we do have some good topics for the show today. First things first, I want to make sure everyone check out the social media so you can see links for all the videos and everything we're talking about today. That's Storytime with Boots for Facebook and Storytime with Boots for Instagram, and Twitter is Storytime W Boots. Also, I wanted to give a shout-out to some of our overseas fans. We're getting a lot of listenership out in Sweden. So thank you to all you Swedes out there listening to the show. We got some UK fans, Canada fans, and recently some Uganda, India, Costa Rica, and some more fans in Ireland. So thank you guys overseas for listening, and hope you enjoyed the show today. So topics for the show that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the TigervsPhil matchup. Rueben Foster, the San Francisco 49ers linebacker, just released for domestic abuse once again. We're going to talk about Markelle Fultz and the 76ers and the Kendall Jenner petition so that she does not attend another 76ers basketball game. The craziness that was just recently Black Friday. The New Orleans man accused of a bomb threat when he was saying he just had to take a shit. We got a Florida man accused of a bomb threat who got 40 years for threatening a Target so that he could try to drop and sell their stock. Pretty crazy. Then some recent deaths that have happened. Another LFO band member has passed away. 2 out of 3, Kim Porter, Stan Lee. We'll wrap that up with 2018 celebrity deaths so far. And we'll wrap up the show with a man who recently found $7.5 million in a storage locker. Will be the topics of discussion for today in Drinking in Your 30s. So we haven't done this. Tom, let's start off with what we're actually drinking today. What are you sipping on over there?
I'm sipping on, it's an IPA called Hop Hammer from Duke Law Brewing out of Baltimore, Maryland.
What's the alcohol content on that beer?
Alcohol on this one, 6.3. It's a pretty solid beer. It has a lot of hops, a lot of yeast going on.
Yeast infection?
Not quite, but similar.
Similar. Okay.
Yeah.
You might not be sure if you're drinking.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. But yeah, solid beer. Hop Hammer from Duke Law, Baltimore, Maryland.
Right on. I am personally drinking one of the beers that I feel always gets left behind, one of the founders of craft beer, just the original Sam Adams Boston Lager. Sam Adams, in my opinion, doesn't get enough credit, but I feel like they really started the craft brewing movement here in the U.S. Not to say that there wasn't craft beers prior to Sam Adams, this and that, but I thought they really made it. We're one of the pioneers in making it kind of come alive and making the movement that it is today. Now in every major city, you're seeing more and more craft breweries. I mean, geez, outside of Philadelphia, you probably have 20, 30. There's more popping up every day. So. Yeah,
there are. I'm almost certain in episode 1, Drinking in Your 30s, I made a claim for Samuel Adams being one of my favorites. Jim Cook, he puts out a good product.
Door to door, or I should say bar to bar, and sold that bad boy. So a lot of respect for him for doing that. So having a Sam Adams. Wasn't going to drink today because I'm sick, so I guess that's the in your 30s part there. But decided to pick up a 6-pack. I couldn't do that. Tell him what I did with my first beer, or my second beer.
So he went to pop the bottle cap off with a bottle opener and somehow broke the neck of the beer off with the cap. Shards of glass went into the beer, and it didn't look
that whole motherfucker off.
Didn't look drinkable at that point.
Any Hooser, let's kick things off with Tiger and Phil, the long-anticipated Black Friday matchup. Me and Tornado Tongue were actually at a poker tournament that we do every year for Black Friday when this bad boy was kicking off. Everybody was going back and forth going into watching it. What were your overall thoughts of the of the match? I know you didn't watch it, but just from what you've read or heard us talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it sounded like a pretty cool concept. Again, I didn't watch it, but I obviously saw the highlights and know the outcome. It wasn't received all too well from a lot of the comments I've been reading. But if I understand correctly, half of the money that was in play was going to charities.
Really? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, apparently they were each putting $9 million up, and then the winner was going to take $9 million, and the other $9 million were going to charities of the winner's choice.
Are you sure about that?
I'm
because
not.
I was under the impression Capital One was funding it for the $9 million. Originally, Phil, it was going to be a straight up bet between Phil and Tiger. I don't know if there was any charity involved at that point, but it was going to be a bet. Then Capital One stepped in, so there was no risk. For me, that kind of lost some of the luster for me. Once they took out that they weren't going to be putting up their own money, this didn't seem as appealing. I wanted a match where they each got $9 million on the line, and they're fighting for it. But I didn't know about charity.
I could be misinformed as well.
Overall, it was a horrible match from what everybody says. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I'm a conspiracy theorist. The fact that it went into 4 overtimes and went into 22 holes, I call bullshit on that. I just don't see how it went into 4 overtimes. There was only 5 birdies in the whole match, like you said. It just seems too good to be true. It seems like they were setting it up for another match. I don't know, but who knows if that'll happen because it doesn't look like it was that well received.
No, I did see something online today or over the weekend, though, that was already talking about a rematch.
See?
So, yeah.
So what do you think?
You're not
do you
off
think
there.
fucking it went 4 over? I don't know. Tiger giving him them gimmies? What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Dude, he was giving what? All right, I get it. They're professionals. They're not guys like you and me who would give each other a gimme.
The one was like just short of 10 feet too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They were fucking decent shots. I mean, with $9 million on the line, I don't care if you're a professional or not. You're shooting that shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you just said makes more sense now with Capital One funding it because if you have $9 million on the line, you're more than likely not giving anyone a gimme.
And
I don't care if it's 6 inches.
As those two are,
right.
They're two of the most competitive people back and forth. I wish I could have heard a little more if there was any trash talking. That's what I think I would have been interested in, just seeing how they interact and hearing what the caddies say as you walk down the course. But from what I'm hearing, nothing really seems that special with it. I don't know if you heard anything.
Yeah, they should do a mic'd up version of the rematch. No, I didn't really hear anything other than that. I mean, I'm looking at the scorecard now. It looks like Phil pretty much had the lead throughout. It looks like Tiger only held the lead one time. That was in hole 12. Other than that, it was, up 1, tied, up 1, tied. So it looked like a lot of back and forth.
And I think it was the last shot on the 18th where Tiger had made a birdie shot, and Phil still had a decent birdie shot. So it wasn't even like it was a par shot that he had to make to tie Tiger to send it into an overtime. And that was the one Tiger gave him.
That could be. I don't remember if it was 18
and
or
then
not.
he gave him a couple more, but I'm pretty sure it was on 18.
On 18, I'm seeing that they split. They both had pars.
Oh, it was both pars?
Yeah, but on 17, Tiger chips in for a birdie to win the hole, and that squared everything up.
Yeah, because it looked like that first overtime hole, I think Tiger was going to win, if I remember correctly. Anyway, I don't know. It just doesn't seem worth it to me. I'm glad I didn't pay for it, but the good news is they are giving a refund. Whoever actually ran the pay-per-view, I just saw an article. I think it might have been Turner Broadcasting. Yeah. So they are going to give, I think it was for a variety of reasons. I think they were having issues with the Bleacher Report Live webpage. And also I think just it wasn't as well received as people thought it was going to be. So I think it was a combination of reasons that they decided to just say, hey, we're going to give people their money back. Fuck it. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard there was something going on with, and I'm not going to act like I know what this is, but there was something going on with the paywall on Bleacher Report's website. So rather than risk any paying customer missing any action at all, they just removed the paywall altogether, which opened it up for free streaming. Yes, correct.
Gotcha.
And at that point, once they do that, they can't charge some and not the others. So that's why the blanket refund is being given back.
Well, that's nice. They didn't want to beat people, so decided to give their money back. But speaking of beating people, Rueben Foster, 49ers middle linebacker, just arrested, I think again, for the second time, if I'm not mistaken, for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend. Now, when I say allegedly, the 49ers wouldn't let him go for no reason. And this was a guy coming out in the draft. We were talking about that. We think this hurt his draft stock initially. He should have been a higher pick. And what did you say he went late?
He went 31. I mean, the Eagles were looking at him at, what were we, 12 that year? Is that where we picked Barnett? 12 or 14?
He was definitely on the Eagles' radar.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I was a fan. I didn't like his character issues. But, you can't deny the guy's a fucking beast on the field. But, yeah, I mean, he's 24 years old, and I think he already has 2 or 3 domestic arrests against his record.
So my question to you is, do you think the 49ers out and out knew, or do you think there was information of realistic domestic abuse the first time to where all the NFL teams should have stayed away? Especially with the new domestic violence policy? Or do you think it's a situation where they could say, as an organization, we didn't know enough about it, even though they may have, and give them a clear conscience to take them?
I don't know. I mean, that's to take somebody at 31, and while knowing they have some kind of history where they could easily crack and screw you, which is exactly what he's doing to them right now. Missing out on that talent altogether. I don't know if they would still pick him, knowing that. But I mean, again, the guy's such a talent that maybe they were willing to give it a flyer.
Yeah, I think the NFL is just a bunch of frauds and hypocrites. Meaning, they're all for a cause when they get a bunch of backlash or there's a big enough outcry. Then next thing you know, you have the domestic abuse thing, which they should have obviously in place or should have had all along. But if there isn't, for instance, if there's rumors about a player and then they know that this player probably did it and weaseled his way out of it somehow, people got paid off, I think the NFL is willing to let that person go. And what they kind of trade off for that is, okay, instead of being a early to mid first rounder, you're now going to become a late first rounder. So that's your punishment. It's like the Catholic Church's way of just moving priests to another parish. The NFL just moves you down the draft board line, it seems like.
Yeah. Same thing happened with Joe Mixon. Yeah,
and I think they're a fraud on a lot of different scenarios. The Colin Kaepernick one, this and that. At first they were for it, and then the ratings came in, then they were against it. You know what I mean? Hopefully he's out of the league. I think he's going to get the Ray Rice treatment after this, and rightfully so. This guy just doesn't seem like he can get it together. And the fact that he's being cut right now, and I think he's out on bail, but the fact that he's being cut pretty much seals his fate and tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, and it's actually it's the same girl. It's the same girl that he's been off and on with, and it's the same girl who accused him or charged him or pressed charges the first time around. So then he got back with her, and I guess, relapsed again, and now she's pressing charges again. I read an article where Ian Rappaport called him a con artist and said that even back when he was with Alabama, he was always super manipulative, was able to kind of trick people into thinking he was much better. He had much better character than he actually did. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say, what the hell's he doing? So this happened in Florida, in Tampa. What's he doing across the country during the regular season, midweek?
He's either been suspended or injured.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. I don't even know if he's played yet this year.
Okay.
To be honest with you.
Gotcha. Well, like I said, I think he's played his last day there, but
yeah, the guy seems like a piece of shit.
Pretty much. So moving on to another sad professional athlete here. We got Markelle Fultz, 76ers first-round draft pick 2 years ago. So there's been some drama going on, and we're going to touch on this and some of the other drama with Kendall Jenner, Ben Simmons, on and off again, I guess, girlfriend or fling. Markelle Fultz, what is he, 20 years old?
Yep.
We've mentioned him before on the show. Basically what happened is supposedly he had somewhat of a shoulder injury, and that hampered him all throughout his rookie season to where he didn't even play his rookie season. He sat out the whole season. Now, a lot of people think this is really nothing to do as much with the shoulder. The shoulder's just was a minor injury, and more about his It was all in his head with his shooting motion and not being able to shoot the ball. So he lost his confidence shooting, and they were using that as a crutch, or they were using that as a front for, his bad play and just saying it was a shoulder injury. So recently the 76ers traded for Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler took his position.
Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Buckets.
Whew!
2 games already, and the guy's already hit game-winning threes, and he's probably been here, 7 games?
Wednesday, was it Thanksgiving Eve was his first game, or was it the week prior? Either way, yeah, probably around 7 games.
Yeah, it was the week prior.
Yeah,
so roughly 7 games, and the guy's already hit 2 game-winning threes.
Yeah.
Just by the way, what this city needs, what this team needs is a leader, someone with some balls that can come in and take tough shots and lead by example, play hard defense, do all the things that's Philadelphia sports in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
So, I guess Markelle Fultz didn't take too kindly to this. The kid wants to play, but then again, he doesn't show any enthusiasm to play. He still seems very childish to me. I mean, I don't know him personally, but just watching him interact and just watching his
body language, absolutely.
And he looks don't obviously tell the story, but he looks very young too. Needless to say, he's not happy, and there were some rumors being spread that he wanted to be out of Philadelphia. A lot of people were debating that until recently. Elton Brand came out with a statement and said that Markelle Fultz is not in the 76ers' long-term plans. So what do you make of that whole situation?
So this is an interesting spot. I actually experienced a similar mental block in the past that I feel like Markelle's dealing with right now.
Beat ripping?
No, actually in softball, probably around 10 years ago, I was playing in a handful of the Delco softball leagues.
Beer league softball.
Beer league softball, and I was catching, and I don't know honestly what the fuck it was, but every time, and it happened for a solid 2-3 weeks, every time that I caught the ball and I went to throw it back to the pitcher, it was like Markelle on the foul line. I was like pump faking.
What's his name? Rueben?
Yeah, from Major League. Yeah, 100%.
You couldn't throw it back?
I could not throw it back.
No way.
I promise, dude. I don't know what I'm telling you. I don't know what it was. It was such a it was such a fucking mental block that it was messing with me, because I had played, I played baseball my entire life. Throwing 20 feet or however 20 yards back to the pitcher was never an issue. But I was like pump faking and shit, just like Markelle is on the foul line. Seriously.
Did people notice?
I don't think so. Actually, believe it or not, I don't know if you remember him, Brian Shepard, B. Shep, and he noticed. Because he called me out on it one time. He's like, dude, why are you pump faking? And I told him, I was like, I don't know. I said I go to throw it back and the ball just won't release out of my hand. And it happened for a few weeks to the point where I had to tell the guy running the team that don't catch me. I have to play in the outfield. And then when I was in the outfield, the ball, I was throwing it fine. But I can't explain it. I obviously, Delco League softball, I'm not going to go to a doctor and get that, investigated. But I never understood it. I never figured it out. But I absolutely feel Markelle's pain to an extent. I certainly didn't have all the eyes that he has on him. So I can only imagine how much those feelings are multiplied. But hey,
well, that's interesting, because I just did a show with a friend of mine on anxiety, and he talked about it was a similar situation. He plays men's baseball. And all through high school, growing up, or I think it started in high school, where he had an issue as, I think it was either a shortstop or second base.
Second base.
Throwing it to first base or something like that. Like he couldn't do it. And it was something mental, and it got him so fucked up.
Yep.
And he would create like a ritual to help take his mind off of it, like before he threw it, is eventually, I guess, how he overcome it, which is similar to in Major League. The catcher was talking about the nudie man.
The lingerie ads and stuff. Yeah.
That's funny. But here's the thing. To play devil's advocate, the kid's young. He's 20 years old. He only did one college. If we take a step back and put ourselves in his shoes and imagine that amount of pressure. We've only played, you talk about beer league softball, where there's about 6 people in the stands. Imagine being in a packed house where you have thousands upon thousands of fans who are cheering or booing you, who are writing on social media. You have all the sports writers and cameras in your face asking you questions. That is a lot of pressure for someone at that age.
Oh, sure is. I
It
mean,
can very easily make somebody crumble.
so Sixers actually lead the NBA in attendance this year. But as far as the support, he must be all over social media. And actually, I just saw him. Speaking of which, did you see Amari Cooper make fun of him with the touchdown celebration?
I did. And
the other day?
What's so weak about these athletes who had the balls to do this is then he comes out and he tries to act like he doesn't know or he wasn't referencing anything in particular.
Yeah, bullshit.
I barely watch basketball, blah, blah, blah. Be a fucking man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you knew exactly what you were doing.
But then Markel fucking shouted him out. He
So
appreciated
weird.
it. He didn't realize he was getting made fun of.
I don't know if it was that or he just kind of felt stupid and was like playing along with it, playing like, oh yeah, he was just kidding. He wasn't clowning the shit out of me.
Yeah, I just don't get it, and I don't like hearing about the lack of support or anything like that because
They gave him a fucking standing ovation when he hit a 3-point shot.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me? He's an
Top
NBA
overall
basketball
pick.
player, #1 pick, and the Sixers fans gave him a standing ovation when he hit a 3-point shot. So don't get me wrong. He's in Philadelphia. If he's on social media, he's definitely going to see people talking shit. Because in Philadelphia, we like fucking tough grinder athletes. Allen Iverson was the perfect depiction of a Philadelphia athlete. Brian Dawkins.
Jimmy Butler,
because they're just warriors. They give you 110% on the court. Iverson's an underdog, 6'0", 160, and he would drive in against guys like Shaq all the time and take it to the hole and score 30 points or steal that first game from the Lakers when we had no business being on the same court with them as a team.
Yeah,
That's the type of heart and passion that Philadelphia respects. So when you're weak-minded or soft like that, it just doesn't go over well here.
yeah. Philly fans are going to eat you alive.
They're going to eat you alive. Yeah, it's not going to work out well, unfortunately.
Speaking of those 2001 finals, do you remember we almost took Game 2 also?
We did.
It went to OT, and we lost. Could you imagine going up 2-0
On the Lakers.
on the Lakers
We
back
had
then?
no business. It was all hard. It
Yeah.
was all hard. We had no business being on the court. So that's what people don't understand. We get a bad rap, but we'll respect the hell out of the team like that because we know we had no business being there, but yet we still stole a game and we were still in the game because they were giving it everything they had. You know what I mean? That team. Come on. We had Iverson, Aaron McKee, Eric Snow, Dikembe Mutombo, and
Theo Ratliff and George Lynch.
Yeah, George Lynch.
They were like our six because McKee was coming off the bench. He got Sixth Man of the Year that year.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, that it was Eric Snow, AI, Lynch, Ratliff, and Deke, with McKee coming off the bench.
And they had Shaq, Kobe, Ori, Fisher,
Rick Fox.
I
think that may have been their five.
Yeah, we didn't deserve to be on the court with them.
No.
Other Sixer news. So Kendall Jenner is dating Ben Simmons again, the 76ers starting point guard, on and off. And because of the Kardashian curse, we all know what they do to their men. We've seen what the mom did to Bruce, turn him into a woman. Kim has Kanye going nuts. You see what Khloe did to two guys. Lamar went crazy. He's on drugs.
Is he still?
Scott's an alcoholic. So bottom line is the Sixers didn't want to get one of these Kardashian Jenners all over one of our teammates and fuck up his career, our season. We want to try to keep her away. She showed up at the 76ers game for the first time. Now, the Sixers had a perfect, 10-0 record at home?
Well, so it was 8-0 this season, but dating back to last season, it was 10-0.
10-0. So we hadn't lost a home game in 11 games there. We were 10-0. The first game that Kendall Jenner shows up courtside to support Ben Simmons, the Sixers lose as an overwhelming favorite to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are absolute dog shit this year without LeBron.
They are the worst team in the NBA.
Is that a coincidence? Without their best player, too. They don't have Kevin.
Yeah, right.
And the Sixers lose to them. So what happened was the Philadelphia 76ers fans put together a petition, and I think it was as of today at 10 a.m., had more than 6,700 signatures, basically trying to get Kendall Jenner banned from attending any home Sixers games. Thoughts?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is if that's not passion as a fan, as a group of fans, then I don't know what is. 6,700 signatures already.
I'd be willing to bet. I don't know when this guy wrote that article. I would be willing to bet that's in the tens of thousands now.
Yeah,
Easy.
I hadn't heard a number, so I believe it or not, I thought when you said 67, I thought you were going to say 1,000.
Yeah, 6,700. But here's the flip side of this. So Ben Simmons, we haven't seen too much personality from him. He seems fairly quiet, seems to keep to himself. We know he's friends with LeBron. He's out in L.A. in the off-season practicing. He's been spotted out there with her. How do you think he feels about his fans signing a petition to ban his girlfriend from showing up at our home facility?
Yeah, it's got to feel awkward. Who knows?
And it's on change.org petition. I mean, yeah, it's got to be weird. Like I was telling you earlier, my only concern is that it's going to push him away from wanting to remain a 76er.
Let's hope not.
I hope not, too. But
speaking of Ben Simmons, though, I don't know if you saw in our last game against the Nets, which Buckets hit the game-winning three at the buzzer from the same exact spot that he did it against Charlotte a few nights prior. But there's a picture going around of Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons?
Yeah.
His brother.
His cousin.
Yeah.
He's around top of the key. Nobody is within 10 to 12 feet of him.
And he passes.
And there's so many articles out there today, or so many social media posts that I've seen that are just saying, as an NBA, I don't care if if you're going to miss 9 out of 10 of them, you got to pull that up. You have
to shoot. We don't, and here's the thing, you can't be so much of a pussy. We don't care if you miss. We know you might miss, but you got to get them to respect you, and you got to get them to stop clogging the lane every time you get the ball and render you ineffective. Because what he does is he'll go in the lane, he'll try to come back out, and he'll either turn the ball over or kick it out. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Now that we have Butler, it's fucking making life a lot easier for him.
Sure.
But to be a superstar, this guy 100% has to fix his shot.
Has to.
Otherwise, he will not ever be a superstar. He will just be a 6'10 point guard that has a huge advantage on people because he is a 6'10 point guard, and he's athletic. Obviously, I'm not taking that away from him, and he has a lot of talent. But when you're a 6'10 point guard, you got to understand there's obviously a lot of advantages he will have over people. So if you don't have a shot, you will never be a superstar, and in my opinion, you'll be very overrated.
Yeah, and again, you just mentioned this, but I'm not totally upset with Ben's overall game. I mean, I do I think he's progressing. I do think you can't knock the guy's effort. He plays D. He's a double-double machine with a triple-double waiting to happen. But to your point, he has to develop some kind of shot because with Embiid doing what he's doing, which is fucking out of this universe so far this year.
Season.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he has to be the leader.
I would say him, Giannis, and LeBron.
Yeah, I'd say Giannis, him or Giannis for sure, I think. But shit, I mean, based on, it's one of them too.
Giannis just put up another night of like 35 and 18 again too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know Embiid leads in 30-10 games in the NBA so far. I think he also leads in double doubles altogether. But either way, could you imagine, to your point earlier, could you imagine if they respected Ben's shot just a little bit and one of those defenders wasn't in the lane,
clogging up the
wasn't in the lane?
So what does he do to change it? And do you think he has the work ethic to change it? Because I've heard opinions on this, and the best opinion that I've heard so far, and I forget who it was, but it was a former player, was saying that he has to just get in the gym and take 1,000 jump shots a day and just all over the court and just fucking repetition the shit out of it. I don't know if he has that work ethic. Quite frankly, I don't know if he has the killer instinct. I don't see it right now. Like a Jimmy Butler, like a Kobe, like a LeBron, people who just want that ball and want that last shot. He looks more comfortable to pass that off.
Yeah.
Do you think he makes the turnaround? Do you think he does what it takes to improve the shot?
I do. I can't really speak to his work ethic too much, but I feel like Jimmy coming here is going to put a little more pressure on him because this is just my opinion, but real quickly, I feel like Ben has kind of slipped to the third most important player on this team.
Yeah.
I can't say that he likes that. Again, he's not showing a ton of emotion, but I think the desire to win a ring sooner than later will drive him and hopefully push him to develop some kind of jumper.
I hope so. I mean, I don't see it. I mean, the fact that he's surrounding himself with girls like Kendall Jenner, and I know he goes out to LA in the off season. Maybe he goes back to Australia. I don't think I see that killer instinct of him putting the work in, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Could you imagine if he had some kind of a jumper? How much more dangerous of a player he would be?
He could be an MVP.
Absolutely.
He could
be a perennial MVP
easily.
if he developed a jumper. He doesn't even shoot.
He doesn't even try.
No.
And they know he's not going to try.
Yep.
So they just clog the lane.
They don't have to respect it.
And they just let him kick it out to our 7'2" center who's standing by the 3-point line because there's no fucking room because this guy can't shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about that.
Well,
so hopefully we can get Embiid away from the goddamn 3-point line and the Sixers can play a regular offense. And by regular, I mean that we can have our point guard shooting some fucking buckets, making some, missing some, that's fine, but at least Embiid having a free lane so he can dominate even more and take that fucking MVP.
Yeah. Wells Fargo would erupt if Ben just took a three-pointer.
And Matt,
I don't care if he airballed it.
Has he made a 3-point shot yet?
I don't believe so.
Has he taken a 3-point shot?
Unless it was at the end of a half or a quarter.
I don't think
one
he.
up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
that's fucking pathetic.
Yeah.
It's fucking pathetic. Really.
NBA point guard, you have to shoot. I think he's averaging like 10.
Especially in today's NBA.
10 field goal attempts a game. And most of them are layups or dunks or, the little.
I just thought about that, though. I don't think I've ever seen that guy take a 3-point shot. That's awful, man.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah. Got to keep him honest.
So he doesn't take his shot, but the people of Black Friday definitely take this shot. Tom, have you seen any videos from this year, Black Friday 2018?
I have.
Since it just passed.
I have.
What are your thoughts on Black Friday? Because I think we have different opinions. So I'm sorry. I'll interrupt. I'll give my opinion. Right now, we're looking at a picture of this very rotund man who brought a recliner and a tent to wait in line for Black Friday shopping. Then I see videos of people outside of Walmart mainly, some videos of Target or whatever, Best Buy, whatever big chain store you could find. The lines are through the roof. When the security finally lets people go, it's a fucking stampede of cattle through that fucking door. People are walking over each other, stomping on each other, ripping grown adults ripping TVs out of each other's hand. I saw another overweight guy who got trampled, and it's not funny, but it's funny. He was leaning on TVs, huffing and puffing in pain because he got stomped on in the stampede. You see people hopping over from another part of the line to try to butt and get ahead of each other. And then I think one of the highlight fights I saw were these two older white ladies on the ground, like fist fighting.
I saw that.
Grabbing hair. And there was commentary, like UFC commentary, wrapped her legs around the girl like a jiu-jitsu move and had her by the hair until finally it was broken up.
It's a good move.
My whole thing with Black Friday, since it just passed, is I would rather pay $50 to $100 more on any other day than stand in line with those fucking crazy, I don't know what to call them, cattle that just wait in line there for shopping. But you had a little bit of a different opinion, which I can relate to.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, I wouldn't go and wait in those lines personally, but part of me respects the shit out of it. I really do.
It's hardcore.
It's real hardcore. You know, the tents. I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing this recliner.
Everything you see, every video that you see, what do people have in their hands? TVs. It's always fucking TVs.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
I was going to say a pack of cigs.
Cigs?
Yeah.
Really?
In their hand, like ready to.
Yeah. No, I mean like when they actually get what they're shopping.
Yeah. It's always electronics.
It's always fucking TVs.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you know, hey, I don't know everyone's financial situation, but if that's what they got to do to, you know, to make the holidays work, and they're willing to do it, and shit, it might be tradition for some families, you know, like they might know, hey, we're gonna enjoy Thanksgiving together, then tomorrow we're gonna go out and camp.
It definitely used to be like that. It used to be like that, but when these big box stores started creating these massive sales, and it all kind of came this craziness that it is today. But it definitely used to be kind of like a tradition or a holiday thing some companies gave off. It's kind of morphed into this just being WrestleMania style that it is over the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely way over the top for my shopping style to get in and get out and deal with.
That's what she said.
As little bit of crowd as possible. Hey, to each their own.
Well, you made a good point about we don't know everyone's financial situation, and some people really need it. So I respect that. We're not rich. We didn't come from that background, working class areas. But I feel like it's those people who really need. I don't feel like they're the people that are stampeding. The people that, and I'm wrong. I mean, I'm just making a judgment call here, but the majority of those people wouldn't be the ones that are stampeding. I feel like it's the savages. The other thing I thought about too was how many of those people you think are actually just stealing shit? Because if you watch the videos of people bum rushing the fucking store, security cannot handle them at all. So how many people you think just go in there and just fucking walking out with shit?
Yeah, probably more than we think. Both videos I saw were Walmarts.
Yeah. The two I saw one Target, but almost every time it's Walmart.
I try really hard
Walmart
to avoid Walmarts.
Well,
and that's year round.
Did you ever see the People of Walmart website?
Actually, I have. I haven't, not in a long time, but I remember a few years ago. Yeah,
look at that website.
It's hilarious.
So that's a pretty good example of who is shopping on Black Friday, especially at Walmart. It's the fucking people of Walmart. So anyway, just wanted to touch on that since it was Black Friday. But another story that we just looked into was a New Orleans man who was accused of a bomb threat insists he really just had the shit really bad. So the suspect told employees at Willie's Chicken Shack, "Y'all about to close right now because I'm going to get a bomb and blow this place up." Here's what happened. He was obviously accused of threatening to blow up the local restaurant, told police it was a big misunderstanding, and according to the arrest warrant obtained by NOLA.com, 30-year-old Arthur Posey walked into Willie's Chicken Shack and asked an employee what time the restaurant closed. The employee told Posey she didn't know. He allegedly replied, "Y'all about to close right now because I'm going to go get a bomb and blow this place up." It doesn't say why he said that or what sparked that. It then says restaurant police told employees Posey was very angry during this discussion. He later told police that he was referring to the restroom and wasn't making any real threats. The employees also said he never mentioned a bathroom when he made his alleged threat. Posey faces 2 counts of communicating false information of planned arson. He will also need to appear in court for a competency hearing, according to the news. Think he really had the shit there?
No. Well, I think he had the shit real bad. I'll tell you what, man, that's clever as shit. No pun intended. But if
that's quick
thinking, and he may have had some time because I don't think the article said whether he was arrested on the spot or not. But to come back and say that, hey, I just meant I was going to blow the bathroom up because I have to shit.
I think I have to let him go for that. That's pretty fucking hysterical.
I mean,
fuck it. You got to shit, right?
I think so.
I think he gets the pass, man.
He might. Again, that's a good excuse. I think he'll get a slap on the wrist. I don't think he can get let off because obviously, I think that the law enforcement will try to set an example, with a bomb threat. But I do think he'll get a slap on the wrist. I don't think he'll get what this next guy got.
This story here, another bomb threat. There was a Florida man who was sentenced for plot to bomb several Target stores up and down the East Coast, has been sentenced to 40 years in federal prison.
Now, this story is a bit different because they actually found
They did.
10 explosive devices that he planted in, correct me if I'm wrong, but like stuffing boxes and bread mix boxes that he was going to pay somebody $10,000 to go plant these boxes at different Target stores. So
That's
I mean,
right.
this was legit.
This was legit.
Yeah, this was pre-planned. He already had the devices made up.
So as opposed to someone getting maybe ripped off on their food order and then coming in pissed off and saying they're going to bomb the place and then flipping that around to, I really had to take a shit. This guy legit set up fake bombs, paid someone, I think it was $10,000.
Yep. Offered.
Who was it? Mark Charles Burnett of Ocala, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, Florida, thought the explosions would cause the company's stock to plunge, allowing him to cheaply acquire shares. So he wanted to buy Target stock.
That's fucking savage.
That's fucking sick, man.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
He literally paid someone. So how much? So he paid another man $10,000 to take these improvised explosive bombs that he hid in food packaging items, like you said. I think it was like a stuffing box or
like some stovetop.
a bunch of random shit. He's also a registered sex offender, so that tells you everything you need to know.
I would have guessed that.
Yeah, he's a creepy-looking guy. I saw his picture there. So if he's going to pay someone $10,000 to pull this off, I wonder how much money he had to invest. Because think about that.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
don't
if
think he
you're willing-
invested. Yeah. I know.
Well, he's not investing
Right.
now.
Yeah.
But the idea of he's willing to pay someone $10,000 to try to make the stock drop so then he could buy it cheap. I mean, he must be hundreds of thousands at least.
And I hate to say this, but again, pretty fucking clever. You know, I mean,
I don't know if I could say that's clever.
not executed cleverly, but just the concept. You're going to bomb a retail giant, several of them, so that their stock price plummets, and then you're going to buy in so that when they rebound, you can sell off it and make a big profit. Just the concept of it is
Well,
it's over the top. But.
It's outside of the box way to get stock. You know, there's insider trading. There's, a lot of stock traders know all the detail and graphs and charts and things that they study to really make predictions on the stock market. It is an astronomical amount of work to be really good at. I mean, he was basically taking an easy way out. I don't know if I can necessarily, I don't know. That guy's a sick fuck. Plus, he's a child molester, so.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah. I hope he gets fucking rammed.
Well, as soon as they find out that he's a
child molester.
sex offender, he will.
That doesn't go down too well. There's been some recent deaths lately, and I figured we'd talk about some of the deaths of 2018, celebrity deaths. One of the interesting, or not interesting ones, but I guess crazy ones was the LFO band member. I forget the guy's name, but the point of it is there was 2 of the 3 LFO band members who died of cancer, and neither of them, I think, were much older than 40. The one guy I know was young. I don't even know if he was in his mid-30s yet, but 2 of the 3 guys. So here's celebrities who, didn't die of drugs, didn't die of suicide, but that both died of cancer. Pretty nuts, man.
Yeah, real nuts. What an unfortunate coincidence. The first guy who passed was Rich Cronin.
That's right.
And that was actually 8 years ago. That was back in 2010. He passed from...
It was some sort of cancer, right?
It was.
And I don't know what was this guy's name? Did you pull that up?
I did, yeah. This guy was Devin Lima.
That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, again, really unfortunate for 2/3 of the band to have now passed way, way too early from cancer at that.
So this is an exclusive, but Tom actually wanted to do a tribute, their hit song, Summer Girls, for everybody.
Yeah, so I'm going to sing that real quick.
Go ahead, kick us off. We're waiting, Tom.
My mic's not working.
These happen in threes. So Kim Porter's just had her funeral. Stan Lee, the comic icon. A lot of famous people were at Kim Porter's funeral. I think she died of What was it she had? I think it was like a pneumonia or something. But we'll go through the list here for 2018. Starting in January, let's see some famous names here. We had Jerry Van Dyke, who was an actor that played in the TV show My Mother, the Car, back in 1965. We had Keith Jackson, the legendary sportscaster of ABC, covered college football sports from 1966 to 2006. He was 89. We had Dolores O'Riordan, the singer from the Cranberries, who had the hit Linger and Zombie. She was 46. I think that was Suicide. I don't know if you're familiar. You're up on that. Oh, the guy from Glee, Mark Salling, who was on that TV show Glee. You remember that one?
I do.
He was, I think, accused of child molestation, and I think that's why he ultimately hung himself. He was like awaiting trial and about to go on trial for that.
Yeah, that's listed as suicide.
Yeah. February, we had singer-songwriter Vic Damone, Billy Graham, the Baptist minister, who was 99. Holy shit.
Dennis Edwards, lead singer for the Temps.
Was that in February?
That was February, yeah.
I'm not familiar.
He sang Papa Was a Rolling Stone.
Oh, for the Temptations.
Temptations,
right.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, Fidel Castro, his oldest son, who was 68, believe it or not, was another February person. In March, we had Craig Mack, Flavin Year rapper, 47. That was sad. He had heart failure.
Stephen Hawking.
Yep.
Jinx.
76.
That was ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
ALS, yeah, but he was confined to a wheelchair for how long? He was
decades.
Yeah, immobile for a while. He had a lot of interesting things to say about just creation and where humanity was. Different theories about where humanity was headed, and they weren't very good. In April, we had R. Lee Ermey, who was famous for being the sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. I also think he was a Marine. He was 74, had pneumonia. We had Barbara Bush, who every time I hear Barbara Bush, I just think of that scene in Bruno when he's...
Yeah.
Or not Bruno, Borat.
Borat.
Yeah. Bruno Sammartino, WWF professional wrestler, was 82. Avicii, electronic music producer, had a ton of hits. He was 28. It says suffered from acute pancreatitis. A lot of conspiracy theories out there think he was murdered because Chris Cornell. Chris Cornell was at Soundgarden and a few other bands.
Yeah, Audioslave.
And the guy, who was the other singer that Chris Cornell was friends with? Is it Linkin Park singer?
Yes.
You don't know his name, do you?
I can find it out.
No big deal, but the point of what I'm getting at is the three of those guys were heavily involved in funding and trying to... They created an organization that would find these people who were taking girls and turning them into sex slaves.
Chester Bennington.
So there's some conspiracies out there that all three of these guys who suddenly committed suicide, it was really a plot because some of the most powerful world elite run, prostitution rings with sex slaves from around the country. They get girls, and these guys were doing good to try to stop that. Also, you had Vern Troyer, who played Mini-Me in Austin Powers, 49. Poor guy. I actually thought he died sooner, which is sad. But he was only 2'8".
2'8".
Died of possible alcohol poisoning. That's sad.
I think I was 2'8" at 1.5.
I think my penis is 2'8".
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Nah, May was a slow month.
There's definitely some people on this list here, but nobody that really stands out. June, unfortunately, you had Anthony Bourdain, host of No Reservations, the TV show. Again, a suicide, but by all accounts, seemed pretty happy. Joe Jackson, 89, leader of the Jackson 5. Michael Jackson's dad died of pancreatic cancer. All those beers are kicking in. July, we had Nancy Sinatra, who was first wife of Frank Sinatra, 101 years old.
Mother of all three of Frank's children, too.
Yeah. Did her daughter already die? Did she die already?
That I don't know, but you know what's pretty interesting? Tell me how often you see a woman with a senior after her name. Nancy Sinatra Sr.
Yeah. That's
You don't
funny.
see that all too often.
No, because the daughter was Nancy Sinatra, too. And I thought she passed, or already passed. I don't know. I could be wrong. In August, we had Robin Leach, host of The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, died of a stroke at 76. Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul, 18-time Grammy winner, 76 of pancreatic cancer. John McCain, war hero, U.S. Senator, ran for president, age 81. I think it was a brain tumor and glioblastoma. September, we had Burt Reynolds, Deliverance, 1972, Smokey and the Bandit. He was 82. It was cardiac arrest. You had Mac Miller, singer, songwriter, 26 of a drug overdose. October, doesn't look like too many people that I'm familiar with. The guy Scott Wilson, who was on The Walking Dead, 76 of leukemia. Paul Allen, co-founder of Microsoft, billions of dollars to charity, and he was 65, died of Hodgkin's lymphoma. November is when we had Stan Lee, P. Diddy's wife, Kim Porter. We had the guy from LFO, not that he's on here. Anyone else that you remember?
No, man. Busy year for celebrity deaths. R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in peace to all the celebrities. Wanted to just end the show talking about the guy, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I'll see what you say, and it was the guy who runs the auction in, what is that, Storage
Wars?
Okay, his name is Dan Dotson. He's the one that's always, doing the bidding for the people. But a guy recently purchased a storage unit for $500 and found $7.5 million in cash.
That's got to be clean money, right?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, so would I.
My conspiracy theory is that this is all for promotion, that maybe this guy really didn't find $7.5 million for the upcoming season. There's probably declining ratings. Nobody wants to watch this goddamn show anymore where they plant shit in there. It's pretty much a known fact that they're planting shit in a lot of these lockers, you know what I mean?
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. A lot of it's bullshit, like they're saying, you'll get you'll get a $100 bill for this all day, and it's like a fucking piece of shit box TV that nobody will even use anymore, you know what I mean?
That we can't even give away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of my theories. The other thing is that somebody reached out to this person, supposedly the old owner, and offered this guy $600,000. I think it was an attorney for this person. $600,000 to return the money. Then he upped it up to $1.2 million. Question of the day, what would you do? Would you fucking take that? Because there's a couple parts to this. First part is, if that guy has $7.5 million in cash in a storage unit, probably not legal.
Got to be up to no good.
And you might be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life with that $7.5 million, even though technically it wasn't your fault. Do you take the $1.2 million and have peace of mind? Or do you say, fuck you, I bought this for $500, it's my shit now. Why didn't you, if this is your storage unit, I'm sure you had ample opportunity before something like that goes to auction to pay whatever you owe the storage people, from taking and selling whatever's inside. Why didn't you just pay it?
Yeah, this is a tough one. It's obviously easier for me to say without that money in front of me. I don't think I'm keeping all the money. I might take them up on that deal, take the 1.2, and just feel a little safer for the rest of my life. 1.2 is still a real nice return on your $500 investment, is it not?
Fuck yeah. I think a peace of mind you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah.
I think one thing I do, though, I would be very curious whether you take the 1.2 or you take the 7.5 of who this person is.
Well, that's the thing.
And getting background on who this person is.
Who keeps 7.5 in cash in a storage unit, I mean, and I read an article that said even the first locksmith that they called wasn't able to crack this safe. They had to call a secondary, a more specialized locksmith to be able to crack this safe so that they could even see what was in there.
Wow. So, and this being the guy who purchased it.
Correct, yep.
Not Dan Dotson, the guy, the auctioneer.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's a
So he had it in a safe and his, I guess, positioning. And somebody like this who has that much money that they not checking on it, not paying attention to that storage unit, probably has fuck you money.
Well, and that's why I'm not so sure that this person, the owner of the storage unit, isn't in jail or something.
That could very likely be possible.
Well,
who doesn't pay attention?
Who doesn't pay attention, and not only doesn't pay attention long enough to where the storage unit goes up for auction. You know, I mean, they're not.
Well, that was my whole point.
They're not
if
pulling
you
them
have
out
that
from
much money,
underneath.
why the fuck aren't you paying your monthly dues for your storage unit?
Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough problem to be in, but I guess almost like a good problem to be in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're looking at 1.2 or 7.5.
Or bad, depending. What if it's fucking cartel money?
Yeah.
Then it's bad.
Yeah, then it's bad. Then that's, you know, I feel like you take the deal and
you
you
might
move.
even give it all back. Cartel money.
Yeah, but I don't. Are you ever going to know that?
That's why I said it'd be interesting. Maybe it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because I think it would be, you'd want to know who it was just for that reason. Maybe it's just some old guy who's really rich who fucking doesn't pay attention to his money. That would be best case scenario, you know?
Yeah.
But who knows? All right, what would you do with the money? Question of the day number 2. You get 7. Let's just say you keep the 7.5. What's one big purchase you make? Or do you make any?
Yeah, I'm immediately buying a new house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think house is the way to go.
House.
Maybe a little shore house, something like that.
Yeah, maybe houses. Short vacation home, regular home, some charities.
ET phone home.
Yeah, yep. Hook some charities up, probably take care of my family, invest.
There you go. Long-term plan.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thomas the Train, thank you for another good episode of Drinking in Your 30s while you're sick. Almost didn't happen, but we made it happen. That's what being in your 30s is all about. Anyway, by the way, I'm thinking about changing the name. What do you think? You like it, or should I keep it?
Why don't you ask your listeners to maybe post some suggestions for the episode name to your social medias?
Good idea. I'm going to post a poll on Twitter. So, again, that's Storytime W Boots. I'm going to post some things and links to some of these articles that we were talking about on Facebook, possibly Instagram. You'll see some pictures on Instagram. That's Storytime with Boots. And check us out. We'll have some more guests. Check out social media. And thanks for listening and all our new overseas listeners.
Make you wanna holler, howdy-ho. Burns your tummy, don't you know? Chug-a-look, chug-a-look.